Generation X, I like to call it too young to know or too old to be relevant. So I'm going to come down into the crowd and share some goodies because it's the last panel of the week and we need sugar. So I've got some candy for everyone. And so to give you a little bit of background on me, my name is Marcelo Garibotto, which sounds really weird because I've got an Australian accent. Here's some chocolate. That's not vegan. This one's vegan, so if someone's vegan, they grab this one. But yeah, it'll come from that side. So swap around. Here you go. Pass it around, grab some chocolate, because you're going to need the sugar. So my name is Marcelo Garibotto, and my company is called Via Music Group, and the URL is Very Important Artists. And also, I have an identity called Cutting Through the Noise, which is cutnoise.com. So some of the people here didn't get the memo. It's first 3 rows. But anyway, so I'm an artist manager. My background's in engineering. And so I live in Finland, which is kind of weird. No second guesses why I live in Finland. And so we've got a really important panel today. I'd like to hand it over to our illustrious panelists here to talk about themselves a little bit. Before we do that, I'd like to thank Logan for having me on the panel. He might regret it by the end of the day, but it's been a great conference. It's the last one. Give us some attention. If you leave, we're not going to judge you much, so all good. And I'll pass it over to Esther. You want to grab that microphone?
So hello everybody, I'm Esther. I come from Hungary and I work at Hangvető and I'm coordinating 2 Creative Europe projects. One is Upbeat and it's a platform for showcase festivals with a world music focus. And we also have a strong goal of representing emerging artists, trying to bridge the gap in the generations. So this is also why this panel is happening.
Hello everyone, my name is Nella. You probably seen me running around here because I work for Pink Conference. Except for Pink Conference, we organize more festivals like Taxirat Festival and The Festival. I believe I'm here because I am a booking agent, so I work a lot because at our festivals we are not genre-oriented, but we have a lot of world musicians performing at our festivals, and I also am directly involved in the direct communications and arranging the performances of the young artists. So I get feedback from them, and we kind of have a direct input on the world music scene in this region.
Hello everyone, my name is Mila. I'm the conference producer of Sova Live Music Conference in Sofia, Bulgaria. I'm also a vice president of the Bulgarian Music Association, which is the organization representing the music performers in our country from all generations and all genres. And there I'm responsible for all the international activities of the organization and representing and positioning the Bulgarian artists around the world. I'm also for a few years a project manager for Bulgaria for Most Music project, which probably most of you know about, because with a lot of you we have collaborated on that project, which is of course focused on popularizing and big capacity building also for artists and young managers and emerging professionals from the Balkans. This is me.
Thank you. My name is Nicolas Huyers. I'm Belgian. I live in Moldova. I created Balkan Traffic Festival 20 years ago. Balkan Traffic, it's traffic of culture. Then the goal of the festival is to link the people thanks to culture. When we speak about Balkan, it's not only ethno music, it's also contemporary jazz, contemporary rock, punk and everything. But then, yes, I'm the producer of that festival.
Zdravo mladi. You know what it means? What does it mean? Welcome youngsters. Welcome youngsters. But it's the password of the Wi-Fi here. The Wi-Fi. So it was a very nice welcome for a 70-year-old organizer, youngster. Because the gap is just only there in your head. If we're young in our head, it will be okay. I'm Roger, and I'm the president of Tournée Mondiale. But I started as a managing director and programmer of a 400 seats venue in Flanders. It's the biggest part in Belgium. And I did it for 35 years. And in 1995, when I was bored going to meetings and congresses and talking about everything what should happen, I quit all these things and founded my own network, Tournée Mondiale, where when we started with about 20 venues in Flanders, and the item was like organizing world music or roots or global or whatever, we agreed that we would never discuss what is world music, because we didn't want to lose our energy in discussions. We wanted to do things. And we still exist. We are almost 35 years old. I'm retired now. I'm still the president of the network. I do it voluntarily. We don't have funding. We don't want funding, because I don't have a message of the comments of people in this music export things in all the countries, what we should do. What we do is good. We have average around 10 tours in the network of the venues, and that's the only thing we do, that is put artists on tour in Flanders. Thank you.
Okay, so a quick one. If you want the goodies, you got to come downstairs. You can't hide up there. So come down. There's a sugar. We're going to need it. It's the last panel of the week, so we definitely need to be hyped up. I'm going to throw it to you, Nicholas. How have you seen, like, I mean, you're based in Moldova, but you promoted Balkan artists in Brussels. How have you seen the cultural diversity of age? Have you noticed something? If so, how have you fixed it? What are you doing to kind of, mitigate the gap?
I would like to say that there is no real gap. First of all, I'm not sociologist, I'm not anthropologist. I will just talk about my own experience about Balkan Festival in the center of Brussels as EU capital. Then it's not a mainstream festival, obviously. It's everything about Balkan. As I said on my introduction, it's not ethno music, especially. Yes, obviously there is ethno, there is folk, because it's a way to link to the diaspora in Brussels. For example, the second largest diaspora in Brussels is from Romania. Then there is something to do about that in Brussels. There is a lot of Albanian, Serbian, Bosnia, Herzegovina. We work with all of them. Then for us, it's important to keep that sort of Madeleine of Proust in the center of Brussels for them. But there is also contemporary music, like jazz, ethno, rock, punk, and all that type of stuff. Then there is no real gap. The problem in Brussels is more that there is no communication about Balkan music. There is nothing about Balkan music. Balkan traffic happen, and it's like a pop-up about the Balkan in Brussels. Then I'm pretty sure that if there were more communication about what's happening in the Balkan now, about contemporary music, when I say contemporary, it's more like new generation, not ethno, not folk. If there were more communication in the radio, in the TV, because there was nothing in Brussels and Belgium and even limitrof countries, there was nothing about Balkan music. It was in the 2000, perhaps with Malar, Albanda, Taravda, Hajduk, and everything. That's all tradition stuff. It could really work, and it could link the new generation. I'm Gen X, as we can say. There is the Ypsilon, there is the Z, there is the Millennium. It's not a problem of generation, it's more a problem of communication. Now people are following the trends. For example, Manu Chao is back on the trends because there were huge TikTok trends with Manu Chao. Even my daughter of 9, Manu Chao, I know. Okay, but you don't know about Balkan music. Why? Because there was nothing in the trends. Then one of the objectives of Balkan Traffic And that is, there is nobody knows about that finally because it's behind the festival. It's also to promote what's happening in the Balkan because nobody is doing it. Even the Balkan themselves, they are not promoting Balkan in Belgium or, you know, there is no link. The embassy are not working on that. Yes, there will cultural center, but cultural center are working directly to the diaspora and not to our open festival goers as we've. Then for me, there is no gap. It's just a problem of communication.
We've had this discussion. Before we go on, I'd like to get an idea of who we got in the crowd. So, artists, hands up. Like music industry. Okay, the rest. I mean, fans, just music fans. Okay, cool. All right. Well, it looks like we've got mainly industry here, which is kind of expected. But I'd like to throw the next question up to Esther, because she actually studies sociology. And so my question to you is, like, how did your experience in sociology, how has that affected ageism in the music industry?
That's a really, really tricky question. I think it affected in a way I see the gap. And we just had a quick conversation here before the panel started that there is no gap, and it's just in our heads. And if you feel young in your heart, then there's no gap. And I think having studied sociology changed my opinion on that, because I think I look at it a bit more from the view of the business, or I feel like saying that there's no gap is a bit privileged, or like I think there are a lot of people working in the music industry who do really believe that there's no gap because they might not had that experience, that you want to reach a goal, you want to have your career, but you're not stopped, but it's harder to get somewhere when you're young. And I think that's how it changed. I don't know if it makes any sense, but
It's a difficult topic, and the thing is, you know, as industry people, we don't think there's a gap, but the reality is there is. Like the perception, it's a perception. We talked about this with Roger. Like it's an actual perception, and you know, I've experienced this firsthand as a engineering professional. I was teaching, and they just looked at me with a baby face and said, you know, would you just come out of high school? And there was no credibility. So I think, yeah, as music professionals, we acknowledge the fact that people have skill. It doesn't matter what age you have, but you know, outside of like the knowledge hub, I still think there's like a big gap. So look, it's a difficult topic. You know, at times we just sitting there going, oh, well, you know, what's this topic about? Like, there's no gap, but the reality is there is gap.
yeah. And just one more thought that I had is that the music industry, I think it's still very based in connections, and that, in my opinion, that should change. Or shift at least a bit, because if you look at other industries, there is a know-how that we pass on. You go to university and you study that profession, just like I studied sociology, and but in the music industry, I think in most of the countries, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you coming from different regions, but in Central Eastern Europe and Southeastern Europe, you still cannot study, really, music industry. And that is a problem. And that makes the older generation responsible for passing on the know-how, because I cannot go to university and study what I want to do. There are obviously other courses that you can go, but it's never going to be the same as if you went to uni and you studied that. So I think it's just harder to get the knowledge and get connected to the people who are already experienced and working in the industry for years and decades. And yeah.
Nella, it's probably safe to say that you worked your way up into your position you've come. So, and being a young adult, I'm pretty sure you've experienced that, where they look at you and go, what do you know? What some of the examples? Do you have any examples where and how did you deal with it more so?
How did you do what?
How did you deal with it? Sorry, I speak very fast. So, how did you deal with some of the perceptions of you being a young professional?
Well, first of all, I don't agree at all. I mean, I don't agree with some points of what you said. That doesn't mean that you're wrong, but the connections, I think it's crucial. Yeah. You said it's not, it needs to change.
I think, okay. Yeah. I just think that it's okay. Obviously, the music industry is based on connections, yes, but we have to have, I think, the education side of it as well. Like, I think it should shift a bit towards being more professional and being, like, having the educational side as well. So, yeah, connection is crucial, sure.
Yeah, connection.
Like, I don't doubt that.
Yeah, so, yeah, I think connections are crucial, and educational part, I don't know if there's any education in like the business side of the music industry and the industry side. It's like music-based everything. So I agree that we need an education on the business side and the industry side. But to answer your question on how do I deal with starting and working here in the industry as a young adult, I think that it depends on you, honestly. Yes, there is a gap, but yes, at the same time, I depend on the knowledge and the experience of somebody who knows way better than me. And of course, I have to be present, I have to have goals, and I have to work towards that goals. So I think the problem is that there is a gap, is because this is a live industry. Nobody can tell you which problems are you going to cope with, or which troubles are you going to have. So you have to be prepared and want to do it, you know. So I think that a lot of people are settling back when going to problems. So for now, I didn't have any setbacks, thanks God. And yeah, I think that the only problem is like, you know, the push that you need to have from somebody that knows more than you, that mentors you, and that gives you education.
Yeah, it's a continual learning process, right? You just got to keep putting the feathers in your cap and go from there. But so Roger, I wanted to ask you, because you know you're a venue manager and you've had, you know, I dare say from what I see your resume, that you've done a few gigs, and you and I being the elder statesmen here. Yeah.
You're hard to understand. But,
I'm sorry. I speak too fast. I'm really sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
It's not more fast and more English.
Yeah, well, I'm Australian and I have Spanish in my head, so I'll rephrase the question. As an elder statesman in the industry, in your venue manager, how have you bridged that gap? We've already spoken about this, where you don't really see the age difference.
No,
but
no. Well, the network I run, I'm now, because I founded the network in 1995, so all the colleagues I started with, they're retired also. So there's all new people, so I think average, they're 40 years old, even younger. And before I came here, I just spread the word in the network. The only comment I got from like about on a total of 20 venues that are involved in the network, there were like 5 who responded, and they said, well, we don't feel that there is something like that we but then in the sense that we would take decisions to get a concert or to have a band or not based on the age of the artist or the programmer or the booking agent. It's just coming up in my head to just choose somebody because he's, or choose him not because of his age or his color or his gender. It's all the same. It's about the music. We will listen to the music, and if we like it, well, it's about making concert tours. And if we are 3 in the meeting, then we call it a tour. Then we start. Sometimes it stays with 3. Sometimes it goes up to 15. That the artist can have 15 concerts in the different venues. And I think that what artists need, chances to play. That's where they will get and learn, where they will achieve the experience is by doing it, by trial and error. And we can be like a bit the liaison, the liaison officer, they say it in the army. So between, like, if we give them the chance to play, they have to take the advantage of it. There is no outcome commitment. We can't do that. And we cannot organize everybody who's asking for, because we have to have the money to pay the artist, and we like to give him a decent fee. That is also a thing that we sometimes discuss. We have sometimes discussion that the artist is asking not enough. That we say, hey, can you pay all this that way? You should raise your fee a bit, otherwise you can you can keep doing it.
Yeah, 100%.
So the discussion about age was very strange for us.
Yeah,
If it's about experience, that's something else.
What?
But that counts also for the bus driver. When the young guy gets the first time behind the steering wheel,
of course.
he has to learn it by driving.
Yeah, in my experience, I don't know half the age of the artists that I manage. I couldn't tell you. I look at what they've achieved, I look at what they're doing and what their strategy is, and see if they're going to be something or someone or a band that's going to have the potential to be successful. A classic case in Australia is King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard, right? They were like teenagers and they built their own festivals. And, very early on they got great, they were kids and they were already selling 10,000, 15,000 tickets. So, I'm of the same opinion. So, do we really have a problem here with ageism? Like, is this a dead topic? You know what I mean? Like, are we reading in too much about it, or?
But maybe we can also decide that it's about experience.
Yeah, of course.
And that's, but like the age.
I got into the music business quite late.
Maybe, of course, age and experience, there is a connection, because I have had a lot of time to gain the experience. But some young people can also gain a lot of experience in a short time and can also be a good partner to talk about it. Even if he is only 30, he can have a lot of experience.
Yeah, of course. I want to ask you, Milo, have you experienced ageism? Are you experiencing this? And if you have you put any measures in place to combat it? Have you put, any? I don't know. I'm just asking the question. It's like I said, like, this topic is quite close to my heart because I've experienced it firsthand. It was a long time ago, but because the beard gives it away. But for yourself in the Bulgarian music, and again, we have to take this in consideration with world music, where there is a little bit of, you need to learn your instrument, you need to do your time. It's a little bit like jazz or classical. Like, it's not like the days of like punk and indie rock, where the music can be extraordinary, and you might not be the master of your craft, but I think there's a valid point there in terms of world music where you need to play your instruments to a certain degree. Have you encountered that
When it comes to me, I absolutely can declare that I have never felt a victim of ageism in my life. But to be honest, like, I think that it's really outdated nowadays to be this, like, age matters, of course matters, but for some points it doesn't matter for the industry, because we are living in a very dynamic times in the moment. Our industry, when you look back in the history, has proven that one of the major problems in the industry is exactly that it really decided for years to be stuck in some old habits, and that's why we lost. That's why we have the piracy. That's why we had so many things in the industry, because somebody there thought that they know best, and they didn't want to update with the timing. Like, everybody, all of the people, all their lives were in the computer, but we were still selling CDs, like, because this is the way it's supposed to be done. But I'm going to the direction again that for me nowadays it's our industry, like every industry, is quite dependent on everyday developing technologies, new technologies. Not everybody is able to be up to date with the technologies. We have the communication channels. Like, even though, like, I'm in my 30s, but TikTok is not my media. But it's necessary, and that's why you need younger people who know their audience, who know what to do. So, and again, you need the other people with the older experience, the business experience, because business, what we say, like, we have this saying in Bulgaria, maybe it's Balkan, that because music business is not a science, it's a craft, and craft is stolen. Craft is not, you don't study, you steal it. You have to go somewhere and to start working it and to steal from the people who know. But of course, you need your own input because things are changing. If you're like, let's talk, because I'm dealing a lot with artists, and my activities are connected with somehow mentoring them, pushing them, going abroad, and to work with their music so they can be exportable and can actually become an active players on the international market. I'm coming from a country where the traditions in music export are actually none. And then you see a very big difference between the people musicians from certain age. Young people are much more open to do whatever it's necessary. But they think it's probably easier than it is, because I believe that in our industry, you need to find your own. If you want to be part of this industry, you need to find your own way. Nobody will find your way for you. You need to decide, okay, now I see the industry, I see the things that I can do in the industry, even if I'm an artist, or I want to go into production, I want to be in the promoter business or whatever, but this will be my point. And then you start and go to your point. Nobody will make money for you. Like, you need to decide where you actually, which is the most interesting thing for you, and you want to be part of this business, and this is your direction. So going to the ageism, I think it is quite outdated thing. Nowadays you have proofs for everything, and of course you need to be real. Like, if you are 45 or 50 years old and you're still aiming a breakthrough in the pop industry and mainstream to make, like, to be a pop star international, come on. It doesn't mean that, but it is for a specific. It's even that I believe that pop music is not a genre by itself, but it is a shape of what is the most selling and mainstream thing in the moment. But in every other genre, you can have an international career on every age. And what is for me very important of what I see is that what we lack is actually, I'm not sure how to say it in English, or I'm missing the word in the moment, like, you need to the generations need to communicate between themselves. The biggest problem with in our society and community is that they separate. Like a lot of the older generation, they don't think that what the younger generation do in terms of music is actually a quality one. Not everyone, not every older musician thinks so, but a lot of them, and they don't work with young people. They work again, and their band is getting old with them, and they still wait for their breakthrough, and they feel like nothing is very actually fair for them. They don't get a fair remuneration because they are working 40 years, more than 40 years in their field, and they have been famous pop musicians 40 years ago in their career, but now generations has changed, and they don't want to give their experience to pass it on. Also, a lot of young people actually deny the others because they are not up to date. So this is probably the problem of age, of a gap. And it's not of the industry, it is between the creative, especially in the creative part of the sector. I believe it, so this is what I see. And yeah, again, ageism nowadays in 2023 in our industry is, for me, is absolutely outdated.
But you kind of made an example there where there is some sort of ageism problem. So what are you doing? What can we do? Okay, so I'm going to put it through to everyone. Do we have a problem?
I mean, just because nobody here experienced it, we cannot talk that there is not a problem. So, but we need to listen to the people, what they say. I want to mention something like, I want to give an example. So I was engineer before. I worked in programming. So I started music a couple of years ago, so 2 years. So I'm relatively young in the music industry. And I started working in Password production, which is for 25 years in the market and everything. So I want to make a comparison if I started doing on my own. So okay, let's say PIN Music Conference is 10 years this year. So because I have that background, I mean, because my company has that background, I have less problems. I mean, everybody's heard about Password production, everybody heard about PIN, so my colleagues have made their clear that how they do is, I mean, PIN conference has some legacy, let's say. But if I started like on my own, let's say I wanted to start 2 years ago, I wanted to start my own conference and my own showcase festival, would it be the same? Let's say it wouldn't be the same. And so I believe that then I would have bad experience with ageism. Just because it doesn't happen to me now, doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
So maybe this is a point now where we kind of get out to our illustrious guests here. Has anyone suffered from this? Have they seen this in this industry? Do we have anyone? I'll come down with the microphone.
Thank you, Marcelo. I think that connected with what Esther was saying and also with what Mila said, in my experience, well, okay, now I have been working in the world music industry for 20 years, but at the beginning, the previous generations who are like 25 years older than me, especially the musicians, came to me to try to take advantage of my knowledge, let's say of the new technologies and so, because they felt so lost. But at the same time, they wanted to take this from me, but they didn't open any door for me. Totally the opposite. When I said, okay, I can work with you, but are you going to support me? Will you give me some exclusivity if someone calls you because I'm making this work for you with this new technologies and so? And they were not open absolutely to this. This previous generation, at least in Spain, didn't open doors for us. It was totally the opposite. They tried to get from us. And also, I think, Esther, I'm not sure if you meant this, but I feel that the situation with the connections that you explained is that if you are not running in this business for some years, you don't have connections with people. And this is really there is a lack. I mean, you can be super skillful, your artist can be the best in the world, but if you don't have this tracking of trust with the people, it's very difficult that they pay you any attention. I understand also because when you have been working for 20 years, you know people, you trust them, you have seen them year after in Womes, in PIN, whatever, so you want to make business with the people you trust in. So someone new really needs to get all this. For me, it has cost me really 20 years until someone started to take me seriously. And this is, well, something else in parallel is also connected with the fact that I'm a woman. That is another topic, different, okay? But this is really absolutely relevant. So my experience probably with Mila and with Esther, we have something in common with this feeling. And also, there are two different topics here. This one that we are talking now, another about the artist. In the world music, probably in the jazz scene also, the age is not so relevant. As Mila said, in other styles, it's totally relevant. If you are a woman and you are 30 and you want to be a star in pop music, I think it's quite difficult if you're a star at that moment. You really need to be in the 20-something. If not, you are not going really to be taken seriously to become a star in pop, mainstream pop. We are in a sector of music where I think age is good, because we know age is related to tradition, legacy. Jazz also have all these things with, let's say, the experience as a musician. But this is a niche style of music. In other styles, mainstream, age is really relevant.
Hi, that was really, really insightful, and I was about to also add on top of that. I worked for a major label. I was like 21 when I started interning for a major label, and down the line I was in so many meetings, not just with the major label, but talking about artists, where some people would like, oh, she is 24, 25, should we sign her? She might want to get pregnant, and so on and so on. So all these sort of narratives, which are exclusively for female artists, especially in the mainstream, are terrifying. I started, as I said, I was 21, but I'm also a queer man, very out and about it. And I've experienced people not taking me seriously as well, even though, and I think that's because of the educational part, because you don't have a way to sort of certify your knowledge. People are open to sort of criticize you or like just based on your appearance or whatever it is, assume how good you are at your job. So I had instances where I would send an email and nobody would give a shit about it, and then I would just copy paste the same email to my manager who's a bit older, and it will all work. So yeah, it's a big issue.
But yeah, sorry, just wanted to ask a question. Do you think that when you have sent and nobody has read your emails, is because you are young or because you are new in business?
I wasn't new in business, and they didn't have enough information about me to begin with. Like, they don't have that. It was exclusively because I was young, and I've actually had my manager tell me, like, yeah, you might want to skip this meeting, because like these are a bit older people and you're like 21, 22, and so on and so on. I also had issues with people not being fluent in English because I worked for an Austrian company. So in order for them to be more confident, I would not be on a meeting, but I would be the one doing all the projects. But this is a completely different topic, but I can, with confirmation of 100%, tell you about at least 5 situations, especially in like 21 to 24, 5, before they understood that I'm a professional. There was always a setback.
Can I add? Thank you. So yeah, what I was saying before, I meant a bit more like there are gatekeepers, at least in Hungary. I'm right now going to talk about Hungary because that's what I know the most about. There are those gatekeepers, especially in the global music, who have the experience, and I think the younger generation respects that knowledge, and they want to learn, but I have this feeling that those gatekeepers are holding on to their knowledge and are not willing to pass it on. And I agree with Mila, actually. I think this is the problem, like the no communication between the generations, but also because we don't have that professional education for music management or like the the backstage industry, you are, like, your only way to learn and get the experience is those gatekeepers. But if there's no communication, it takes a lot more to get there, if you get there at all. And I do have the same experience with the emails, or even in like real life. You go to someone, you introduce yourself, you say your company, and then they are just like, yeah, I know your boss, I'm gonna talk to him because he's the face. And it happens everywhere, I think. Or I don't know what your experiences are.
Yeah, just wanted to mention that as my experience mostly is independent professional, even though I've been part of different organizations and companies, but independent, and also I've been attracted there as a professional because I had some experience that they rarely can find. So I don't have the corporative experience I, of course, have in my life, but I also was attracted because they couldn't find such a person combining professionalism in music as an artist and also music business or whatever, even young. So I somehow have been in a good position, but even though it was my goal since I was 14 in being a classical pianist in the music school, I knew this. So I have seen, and of course I have a lot of friends that are working in different corporations, even if it is not in the music business, and of course they have this experience. But anyway, it's very important, I believe, that of course people can approach, like in our industry, especially because you started to build yourself from the beginning, and yes, nobody knows you in the beginning, and it is normal, you can be on every age for this. But when you reach some status, and then your status is working, so this is your crucial point for me. It's the crucial point of every human being. Like, if this status, what do you want to leave behind? Because if you want to stick within your status because you have fought for it for so long, and you don't want to give it, you actually think that the younger generation can steal it, like, and they need to deserve it because you have been working hard to deserve it. But how does it work for you? Because probably you have 50 or whatever, because we talk about age, I don't know. When you have reached this point, you're the boss of the company that everybody wants to speak to. And what are you doing? Like, I mean, what is going on after you? How actually this status will continue work for you? Because you need exactly these younger people to look up to you. So you need to give to them, to give the opportunities, to watch them, how they develop. This is something, even though I'm not to this point, I work with younger people and I really enjoy this. And I really want to, because for me it's very important, what I do is to leave a trace after. This is my goal. And you cannot leave a trace and in the moment you die, like there is no trace after if you don't pass it. But of course, like, this is a matter of our industry, is a matter of community. That's why I think that actually education is important in the moment of creating a community, because these people, this is also I can refer to MOST, is that MOST is a project that got together countries that are supposed to work together and artists that are supposed to work together because they are living like 300 kilometers away from each other, but they don't know each other. And I wanted to say something which actually made me think it was a sentence. A person from this project, a young manager that came exactly here for Skopje for a training, and she said, because she is also an artist, and this is why she needed the training to manage her own project. And she said, you know what actually changed? This is a very big change for me, this training, because I've always wanted to work with my art, and I, of course, push it a lot, but I feel very lonely, and this was not my major job. I have always had another job. And after I came back from the training, I quit my job because I realized that I'm not alone, because it actually feels very lonely. And now she doesn't feel she's alone because she knows that everybody who wants to do what she wants to do feels the same way, has the same issues. And that's why, for me, the lack of education in the music business in our region is, of course, we need to know a lot of things. We need to start talk about culture and art and to talk about business, because if you want to make this, you need to know how to make money out of it, how to manage this money. And not that the other thing is not important, it is the essential part of it, but this is the thing we are focused on, like mainly here, because this is what we study. And when you get together with other people and start studying, especially in university age and level, one way of thinking, you find your team there. And the community is actually is the biggest thing I believe we miss, because we lack education here for the music business. That's what I wanted to say, that I understand that in some situations it is real, I don't deny it, but for me, nowadays it makes no sense to do this.
Okay, I wanted to, it's here. Yeah, I wanted to share the experience that my personal professional career started at older age. At this, the older age that is supposed to be like I'm old girl who is starting her career on 26, and I had the real experience for the guy who told me that the time like I was searching for help to release my album and to find a spot to share my music and everything. And so the one guy came to me and he told me like, how old are you? I said 26. You're so old to start now. But I didn't take it for granted, and I just heard it, and I was like, yeah, maybe this is true. Like, it's true about I have to push on the intensity of working of what I want to do, because I was doing 1,000 different things, which is not music, and I was losing my time until I really started to believe that I want to what I have to do in my life. So this was some kind of reality check for this guy, and I'm so grateful. And I saw this guy yesterday, and I talked to him about that I'm so grateful about these words, because as Racheli said, you really need a period of time to be taken seriously about what we are doing, especially if you're a woman, of course. Especially if you live in Macedonia and you want to fight and to go abroad from the borders, and you're still struggling with the visibility of your music and everything. But that push that this guy gave to me, like ageism, if we can say like this, really gave me a strength, and it really made me think about the focus that I have to give to my work. And in a really small period of time, feeling that pressure of being old, I did things that maybe if I didn't heard that stuff on that point, maybe I will still finding excuses about not pushing on what I do now. So it is kind of the ageism that I experienced that really helped me a lot. That's why I wanted to share this. That sometimes we are giving labels to some words of the people, that sometimes we need to, just give them in other context, the context that is good for us at that moment. So in the period of 3 years since then until now, I just zipped my work. And I did maybe everything that I was supposed to do 10 years ago. So in 3 years, I already think that some of the people, they started to see me as a serious thing, and I'm so grateful about the experience of ageism, if I can say like that. Yeah, I just wanted to share this. Yeah.
it was you, it was not the ageism who did the work. The person that you spoke to could have sat down with you and sort of really got to know you and not just base you on the age and make you do the process. If he, she, they were a real professional, they would have sat down with you and then maybe help you get there. This was all your work.
This guy told me this stuff, and he was helping me in shadow because he's really experienced in what he's doing now, actually more than 20 years. And he was helping me in shadows because he wanted to see me work, you know, because all the time we have lots of excuses. I'm older, I'm not good enough, I don't have time, I'm not the type of person, I don't have communicational skills, and you are just taking your time, and you are aging, and still you are taking your time. And when you have 40, and you said to yourself, now I'm really old to start. So this guy helped me with the, you know, he just slapped me on my face, and he was sitting, and he was, you know, he gave me this, but he gave me a lot of, you know, extra stuff. So I'm so grateful about that, you know. Sometimes somebody has to make you reality check. You know, it is artistic to not know sometimes what you're doing. It is artistic, and I feel like I'm an artist, and I am, you know, I'm into the visualizing world. I'm living there. So sometimes somebody has to slap you in your face, and I'm so grateful to everybody who slapped me in my face, because sometimes as an artist, there is the only way that you are learning, truly. So let's not complain about stuff that we are going through, which is not so comfortable, because sometimes it is the only way. And I'm so grateful, and this is how I'm learning the hard stuff. Swallowing the frogs all the time. That's it. It's cruel. I mean, it's not cruel, but it's the world is not so easy. So I don't want to expect everything to be, you know, just storytelling and everything to be, you know, gentle as my mama is telling me at home. The world is not my mama, you know. There is no world where everybody is coming to you to comforting you, but sometimes someone has to be honest with you and tell you straight, like, you are old. Yes, I was old, and if I took 5 years more, if I had to start on 30, on the age that I am now, would be even more complicated for some stuff, you know. So thanks God that this experience happened.
Sure.
Because I am 40 actually, and I started 3 years ago also. I mean, I started a long time ago, but I entered the business 3 years ago. And I never felt like this. And actually, I don't agree that this is good, because saying to someone, you're old at 26, sorry, it's bullshit, because you're not old. You're not old even now. And maybe it helped you become stronger, but there is some kind of personalities that will kill them, you know? That will kill their creative spark, and they will start thinking, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I'm old, I cannot do it, you know? So I don't think this is the way. Yeah.
We all have our authentic path to our career. That's why our successes are different. Somebody will be killed from the, but tomorrow it will happen to book a tour which is with 10 concerts and to be cancelled in 3 days before starting. What? You're gonna die? You're gonna kill yourself? What will gonna happen? Because if the success, you have to pay the fucking price.
No, of course, everybody pays the price, but I cannot say that you are old at 26 is not ageism. It is ageism. And actually, I haven't experienced ageism ever. Nobody's ever told me that. Even I think I know the guy you're talking about. He never told me that. I don't think even people who know what is my age, but I'm really old, and I think I am actually really good. Like, I feel very good, and I want to continue with this music business and with my artistry. And but unfortunately, I see this in an indirect way. For example, there is opportunities, there is festivals, there is, for example, music business awards, where you have eligibility criteria that says you can't be older or younger than some age. The boy that was in our band started with us when he was 17, you know? There is some like festival applications that say you have to be over 18 to apply. Like there is some festival applications that I couldn't apply to, we couldn't apply to, my whole band, just because of my age, you know? So I think this is ageism in its working. So yeah, there is.
Wow, you're too old at 26. I started my music career at 38. So, it's a really. I mean, we can go to Pandora's box here because it's again, and also, it's ageism and a little bit on gender bias as well. So that's we know that this is the reality. But look, we're kind of running out of time. I want our great panelists to kind of summarise. Do we have a problem? What do we do about it? How do we go about it?
Can I start, or do you want
Start, okay.
Yeah, no, go for it. Go for it.
Okay, because it was an idea of kind of summarization of the situation. So ageism exists. Yes, that's true. Second thing is that the way you meet it, it's the most important thing. Like if you be a victim of it or not, you will actually give a shit about it or not. Then you need to know, like, there is not a single person in this world, no matter of age, of experience, who knows it all. So even though that you need to respect the professionalism, the experience, there is not a single person on this world. And if somebody really thinks they know it all, so that means that they are stopped in their, I don't know, in their life, in their well-being or whatever. And what I wanted to say is that as an artist, because you are an artist, and I believe that every artist, independently if they're musicians, actors, or visual artists, the basic thing they need to know from day one is the basic quality they need to develop is to deal with rejection. Our business and the artists' development and careers are based on constant rejection until the moment. So that's why you don't need to. You said I needed this reality check, or this slap actually motivated me. But this is part of the business, the basic one. Everybody gets rejected. Actors go on castings every day and they got rejected. Everybody got rejected. This is the business you have willingly want to be a part of. So that's it. But to the ageism, it depends on you how we're going to meet it. A lot of people would try to take advantage of you because you're young. I also have stories, but I really don't want to. But I didn't pay attention to it, so I didn't give what they wanted from me based on because I'm young. It might be stupid to give something that I'm much bigger professional in this than the people who requested that. So it's up to you.
Any summations, Nicholas, maybe?
Hi. Then just my story is I'm TV director. I finished my study as TV director in 2001, and then I met a guy on a snack in Brussels. He got a very strange accent. He was from Kosovo, Albanian speaking from Kosovo. Long story cut short, I said, it's very interesting because I will be back with aging. And then I said, Ilir, your story is very interesting. Nicola, if you want to know more about Kosovo, just my brother is studying French in the University of Pristina. Just have a look. I took my camera. I was working for Canal Plus at that time. And holidays also 1 month. I spent my time with them. It was very strong, but nothing to do with music or art or, my background is TV directing. It really technique, multi-camera and all that stuff, even not creative, just multi-camera. Back in Brussels, I said, I have to do something for them because what they are doing, they are struggling. It was 2001, it was the last day of the war, in the Balkan War. And I said, they are so positive, they are looking to the future, but they are living on a type of jail, open jail. And in January, they will get the liberalization of visa anyway. And I said, I have to do something. I have to pass the message to my young people in Brussels about we are lucky to live in the center of Europe. And then I decided to create, long story cut short, a festival. There were different steps, and then start Balkan Traffic of Culture to show that Balkan traffic is not only traffic of prostitution, war, and organs and everything. I had like 27 years. And my background was really not culture, was really not music. I didn't know nobody from music. That's why I don't understand why, I don't know your name, you talk about the problematic to send a mail and to not even get an answer. I don't understand the problem, you know. I would like to say that I sent 1 trillion of email without any answer. But finally I challenged the festival, which is not the only one to do that about the Balkan. Then ageism is, I'm really not sure that it's a problem. It's just a question of to be volunteer, to want to reach a goal. That's it. You know, now I'm 47. I didn't stop one day to send mail and to didn't get the answer from 20 years. That's all. Then ageism for me is not really the problem.
Okay, well, you want to say something, Esther?
Yeah, I just I would summarize a part of it that that I'm gonna take from here, and it's actually the building community and creating that circulation of knowledge, because that, like, maybe ageism is not a problem in 2023, or it is a problem in certain places and in certain situations. But just because it's not a real problem, or it's not a problem for the majority, it doesn't mean that we should just stay like it. And I think that with education and with that community, we could focus more on, okay, but could it get better? Yeah, I think that's my summary, or that's what I, yeah.
Yes, I just want to add something. It's like we are not involved, well, I myself, as a programmer, I'm not involved in the process. That's before you go you go on stage. So, but you need us to give you the chance to show. Then after you reach the point that you're ready for the stage, you need us to be showed to the people. And I never thought of myself as being part in an industry or a business. It's about education. I think music can bring people together. In my case, it became world music because I learned to like and love the music later on, not from the start when I started at the venue. And there was like a barrier to bring like all these like musicians from Africa or from Arabia. It was not they were not used to see these people have a concert on your stage. So it takes time and it takes an effort to bring you on stage. And this is what we do. Like, if you can have the struggle before and to reach the point that you have a program, that you have an act, then we will be there to try to help you with that. You can show it and that you can make money out of it. But also in our job, it's not for granted. We have to deal with politics. And that's also a very bad, mostly it's a bad experience. So it's, you just have to deal with it and do it. And as for my education, I'm a social cultural worker, and I studied sociology for 2 years, but I quit. So because I wanted to do more practical things, do things instead of just do the talking. And I think, well, the network is existing almost 35 years. In our business, that's a long time. So, and I think we do a good job.
Okay, thank you, Logan, for having us. Put your hand together for our esteemed panelists. I hope you had a great week. Don't do anything I wouldn't do tonight.